What up, y'all? It's DJ NV.
And I am Gia Casey.
And this is another edition of the KC Crew.
Welcome.
Yes, and I'm excited. We're excited. Our live podcast is next week Friday. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to it. July 27th. Get your tickets. There's still few tickets available. Still very few. Tickets are still available. You can hit up the website, which is sonyhall.com or ticketmaster.com. Get your tickets. It's going to be a great night. The podcast, comedians, and also, of course, food, drink. So we're going to have an amazing time. So I look forward to seeing you guys July 27th.
Yes. And I came up with a great idea for the live podcast. We're always interested in meeting you guys and talking to you guys. And we're going to do a contest for the live show.
Right.
And I'm going to explain the contest in a little bit. But the winner of the contest there that night is going to win a double date and night on the town with me and my handsome hubby.
That's right. So I know when we talked the last podcast, we said this podcast we would be talking about fantasies. Mm-hmm. But we got so many DMs, so many emails. What we're going to do is do the fantasy podcast live July 27th. So we're going to do that podcast. Hall. That's right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our fantasies that we've never spoke with each other. These are things that Gia fantasizes when she masturbates.
Come on.
That's the truth.
That's a little extra. Like you could have just left it at saying when I fantasize. God, go ahead.
And then of course, what I fantasize about.
When you masturbate.
Gosh, you could have just said when you do it, see, you're so extra. Sure. Sure. So we're going to talk about that, but the fun part about that is besides going through all the masturbation, well, not the masturbation, the fantasy stuff, besides going through all the fantasy stuff, we're going to bring people on stage.
Yeah.
And whoever has the best fantasy, and you can say it in front of your boyfriend, your girlfriend, in front of everybody there and be honest, the best one is going to go on a double date with us. Mm-hmm. So
and 9 out of 10, we're going to bring you to the club, buy you some drinks.
Yeah. So we're going to go to our favorite restaurant.
We're going to buy you a bottle. Favorite restaurant.
I'm not laughing. Who's buying a bottle? We buying a bottle?
We're going to buy him a bottle. What's wrong with you? Like, this is not the time to be cheap.
All right. We'll buy him a bottle of Remy Martin because Remy Martin, that's what we drinking, Remy Martin. So,
no, we're going to buy you a bottle of what you drink.
No, Remy Martin. They're going to
get a bottle of what they drink.
All right. You drinking what we drink.
We can have Remy at the table, but we're definitely going to buy them a bottle of what they drink.
Okay. So anyway, we're going to go to our favorite restaurant. We're going to take the couple to our favorite restaurant. Mm-hmm. And then after, we're going to do something after. Whether it's a club, whether it's a hookah bar, whether it's whatever it may be, we're going to go out after and make it a night. So that's the double date. So we want to hear your realest fantasies next Friday.
Yeah, but you can't come up there and spitting out like a fake fantasy. I'm going to sniff you out. Like I have to be able to determine that it's real and authentic.
Right.
Okay.
You might even have to masturbate on stage.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Thank you. You got a thing for masturbation, huh?
No, I'm just saying it's when you have fantasies.
Okay. So that's going to happen that night. So it is going to be a fun night. I'm excited.
All right. Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Were you ever addicted to masturbating?
Why are you asking me that right now?
I don't know, because we were just talking about masturbation, and I'm like, wow, were you ever addicted to masturbation?
Why don't you save that for the live show?
Okay.
Like, why would you ask me that now if that's what we're going to talk about then? You're going to spoil it. I don't want to have these conversations before the show. I want it to be natural and organic.
And I think addiction is more than 2 nuts a day masturbating by yourself. Oh, yeah, you were addicted. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it.
Also, there's something I want to say.
Yes.
So when we were in the car, we came up with this earlier today on our way from the airport. And I said to Rashawn that I didn't think that it would be fair that on Pillow Talk, we teased, well, not intentionally, but I started talking about my fantasy and then Rashawn threw it to, well, you know what? We're going to talk about it on the next KC Crew podcast, which would be this podcast. So I don't necessarily think that it's fair that we kind of alluded to it and then talking about it on this podcast, and then we're going to do it for the live show because a lot of you guys are from around the world or the other side of this country, and you won't get to pretty much wrap up and finish up the conversation with us. So right now we're talking about airing the live podcast for you guys to see.
Yeah, so maybe we haven't figured out if we can do it in time, but if we can, we might tape it and put it up on the site so you guys can hear it.
But we might not be able to.
Right.
So we are absolutely positively going to try. So I just wanted to put that out there so that, you guys listening aren't like, oh, I was kind of invested in that conversation. I wanted to see how it ended. So
right. So again, get your tickets July 27th. It's a Friday. We're going to have some fun, and we're talking about fantasies and masturbation.
They got it.
All right.
They got it.
All right.
All right.
Now, you know what I wanted to talk about, and this is something I want to say that I love about our relationship. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of people, and I see a lot of friends, and I see a lot of family, and a lot of people we know are married, but I don't know sometimes if they adore each other. Now, there's a difference between being in love and loving somebody and being married, but the reason why I love our relationship, and we go through our ups and downs and sideways and lefts and rights and all types of ways, but one thing I would say is you adore me. And you know what made me really, really think about it, right? And I don't know if you guys seen this video now. In a second, it's probably going to get loud because the kids just got home from camp. So they're probably going to run in here and scream, but I'm just going to tell you that first. So now when it comes to what made me think about it was I was watching the Louis Vuitton fashion show. Mm-hmm. And this year they had Virgil. He was the designer. Now, if you don't know who Virgil is, Virgil got his start from Kanye West. He started designing sneakers and clothes for Kanye West. He left Kanye and then created Off-White. So Off-White is his. He designs it. It's his shit. That's his thing.
He only has a first name. He just goes by Virgil.
I don't remember his last name.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So now Virgil was hired by Louis Vuitton to be the head designer of Louis Vuitton, mm-hmm. which is big. I think it's the first time an African American has had that position. It's very, 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 very big.
Hold that thought.
Oh, here's the kids.
Hi, Papa.
What's up, boy? Mommy, no daddy. Okay, yeah, all right.
Hi, my baby.
Get up out of here now. You don't want to say hello to me? Get up out of here.
Hi, Brookie. It's Mommy too.
Hey, Brookie Chew. Hey, baby. Where's my kissy poo? Get daddy a kiss. Say hello.
Hi, London.
Say hi. Say hi.
Daddy.
All right. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Hey, baby cakes. You want to say hi?
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
All right. Hi, baby. Where's my kiss? You want to say hi? You say hi too.
Hi.
They said hi back. Okay, guys.
Oh, wait. No, look at Brookie. She wants to say hi too.
She wants to say hi on your mic? Oh, boy. I'm sorry, guys.
Say hi. Say hi, everybody.
All right.
Say, I go potty now.
A boy.
At party. You go party?
Hold on. Say a butt.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Hello.
All right.
Okay, everybody.
All right, guys. Get up out of here. Get up out of here, guys. You got to go. We got to go. Bye, guys. Go. I love you guys. Go.
Baby. I love you.
All right. Get up out of here. Go. Hurry up. Bye. And close the door. Close the door, Lundy, please. Hurry up. And when we finish, you could lay in here and watch TV with us, okay? Bye, baby. All right.
Wait, hold on. Let them close it really tight first.
All right.
Close it tight, baby.
Okay. Sorry about that interruption. All right. So now I was telling you about Virgil. So I tell you, Virgil, I left off at Virgil created Off-White. And Off-White is a success, is doing so well. He's done collaborations with Converse and Nike and Jordan. So then Louis Vuitton called him and told him that they wanted to be the head designer.
They wanted him to be the head designer.
Right, to be the head designer, I guess, of the summer, spring, fall collection that they have releasing. So Kanye West and Virgil kind of don't speak, I guess, because Virgil left Kanye. Mm-hmm. So they haven't been speaking. It's kind of been like a little beef, but it's kind of nerdy beef. It's not no real beef. Like, these are designers. Like, they're not, it's like one of those things where somebody graffitis and I graffiti over your graffiti. It's like, like they're not fighting, but they just don't fuck with each other.
Right.
So anyway, during the fashion show in Paris, I know a lot of you seen it, when Virgil was walking out after, because every time they show the line, the designer always walks out after. He was walking out after, and he seen Kanye West.
So wait, so he was on the stage when
he was. It was a runway, yeah, runway.
Right, so
it wasn't no stage. It was just
the runway. That's what
runway.
I mean. So he comes out on the runway,
and he walks down the long runway, and thanks everybody for coming.
Things. Mm-hmm.
And Kanye was sitting front row, so he seen Kanye, pointed at Kanye, and then him and Kanye kind of hugged and embraced.
Down.
It was
from the runway.
It was no run. It was no. It wasn't an uplifted runway. It was just a
I
runway.
see. It was flush with
the floor.
the floor.
Right. It's with the ground. So when he seen Kanye, he walked over to Kanye, and Kanye and him embraced for like 45 seconds, a minute, where it was like you could tell it was one of those things like we're brothers. I haven't seen you in a long time. This is childish. I love you. And they were just hugging and embracing him. And then after they stopped hugging, he continued to walk down the runway, and Kanye was kind of just, wiping his tears. And I was like, wow, and I didn't pay no mind. I was like, wow, that was dope. That, two brothers seen each other, they hugged each other. That was dope. And then they started showing all the different angles. At first it was just one angle, one person taping it. Then it was all these different angles of people taping it. And I seen, and no disrespect to them, I seen Kim Kardashian sit next to him, standing next to him. And I was like, that was a very emotional time in Kanye's life, because that was somebody he pretty much trained. And I was thinking to myself, and maybe it's just me, the way that I think. I was like, if my wife was next to me and I was that emotional where I was crying, my wife would have hugged me. She would have held me. She would have rubbed my neck or rubbed my back. And Kim was just clapping her hands. And I'm like, I don't think she adores him. And I could be wrong. This is just what I seen. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. And not that it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but this is just what I like. I like to be adored. I like affection. And I was like, wow. I was like, if that was my relationship or my marriage, how would I feel? One thing I would say about our marriage and our relationship, and something that I love so much, is I'm a sensitive person. Things bother me. They affect me. Some things, make me work harder, give me that drive to work harder. Some things, piss me off. I'm just that type of person. So
you feel deeply.
I feel deeply about shit. Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to things, I love the fact that, I don't have to ask you, you just genuinely do it. If something bothers you, you're there to give me a hug and kiss me and say, babe, it's all right. If something happened that's great, you're there to kiss me and hug me and say, babe, congrats. I love that in a relationship, and I love that in a woman. And I love that you are that woman. You know what I mean? Because you do that. I mean, it could be, we could have a bad day where we're arguing and something happens that's great, or something happens that's fucked up. You still there, and you love me, and you kiss me, and you're my real best friend. And I know a lot of people say that, and sometimes I look at Instagram posts and I look at Instagram couples, and it's cute. And then when I see them, I'm like, they don't have that. And that's the thing I'm grateful for, even more than anything else in this world, is that. And I love that in our relationship.
Well, I think that's because I truly do adore you. Like, I have like a deep affection towards you that really resonates. I was watching something the other day, and the person was talking about another person that they connected with. And the way that they described it was by saying, my heart recognized his heart.
Right.
And I feel that my heart recognizes your heart. When I saw that, like the light bulb went off, and I said, wow, what a wonderful way to put that feeling into words. And that's how I feel about you. Like, I don't know. I think that, well, for me, the way that I communicate on a lot of levels is by touch and affection and sensitivity. Like, I think that I'm very sensual in a lot of ways. And that doesn't just have to be, preliminary to sex or anything like that. But even, during the day, that's how I choose to communicate my love to you. They say that there are, several different love languages, and people show their love for the person that they're with in a lot of different ways, or one of many different ways. And that's one of the big ways that I show my love for you. But just like you said, it comes naturally. It's not something that you even think about. Like, when you're happy, I'm happy.
Right.
It's like infectious. I draw off of you. When you're sad, I'm sad. Like,
right.
It breaks my heart to see you unhappy about something. And it's funny because I think that you know that very much about me. So sometimes when, we're having a low point or a disagreement or something, I feel as though you're so tapped into how I feel about you that you'll kind of play on the fact that that I can't stand to see you upset or out of position. But that's how connected I feel that we are. And maybe you're right. Maybe some relationships may be missing that.
Right.
Because I don't think that, as you said earlier, that being in love with somebody or simply loving somebody is synonymous with adoring them. The same way that I can feel as though you can love somebody tremendously, but not like them at all.
And you know what else made me think about it?
What's that?
Mara Bracca-Kill, right? She is the producer and creator of Girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
She also did, was it Being Mary Jane?
Mm-hmm.
She also worked on various shows. I think she worked on Moesha. She worked on the Jamie Foxx show. And she has a new show on the OWN network called Love Is.
Mm-hmm.
And she came on the Breakfast Club a couple of days ago, and she was talking about her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she's about 48. I'm assuming her husband's in that same ballpark. But the way she was talking about her husband. Now, Love is based on their life. She came from, I'm not sure where it was, but she came from, I want to say like Denver. She came from like Denver, moved to LA to be in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
He was from the Bay Area, and they kind of just met each other in LA trying to get their things together, and they wound up marrying, and they've been together. And now he's like a super producer and a super director. She's a super producer. It's just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But the way she spoke about her husband was like, wow, and it gave me that feeling of she adored him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was talking about just, how when she sees him every day, how it makes her feel, and how she wants to be fit because she wants to look good for him. She knows her husband is handsome and sexy, and she wants to make sure that she's sexy for him at all times. And, and we were talking to the actors because they're actually playing, like I said, her life. And the actor was like, what really opened my eyes when they were on set, I seen the way he looked at her. And the way he looked at her was like the first time he ever seen her in her life. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, that gave me that feeling where, when I see you come out the bathroom and you have no clothes on, I'm sorry, but you have no clothes on. I get giddy like the first time I ever seen you with no clothes on, or when we're dressed to go out, it's like, I look at you and I'm like, wow, you look amazing, and it's like, even when you're pregnant, it does even more to me because it's like, I don't know why. And maybe it's the fact that I know that you have our life in your belly, and that motherly feeling, and it's a motherly / sexy feeling. I don't know what it is, but it gives me that feeling. And that is something like, I don't know. And it's just, because I think about our relationship a lot, and I'm like, well, what keeps this thing ticking? What keeps this thing moving? What keeps this thing fresh? What's the reason why, we can spend 20 hours a day all the time, and I go to work, and then when I get off, I call you, and then I don't get tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The feeling that we can go out, and it could be a whack club, and we sit there and still have a good time, or it could be a great club, and we still have a good time. And what's that reason? Like, what is that formula? What is that seasoning? Like, what the fuck is it? Like, can I sell it in a bottle? Why? And it's the fact that the way that you make me feel. And I'm like, that is amazing. That, people ask me all the time, and I was like, my baby adores me, and I don't do as much of the adoring. I don't know if that's a word, the adoring as you do, but I feel it, but I just don't do it. And I don't know why.
I think that you do, but you don't necessarily do it in the way that I do it. See, I don't think that it's fair to put a specific definition on things, because our actions tend to dictate how we feel inside. And I know that you adore me, and it's not, and you are, here's the thing, you are extremely affectionate. You may not be as affectionate as I am, but for instance, today, we were on a plane from Miami to New York.
Right.
And before the plane took off, you must have kissed me 3 or 4 times while we were on the tarmac. And then while we're on the flight, you're, going in and out of sleep and adjusting your position. And in between each time that you adjusted your position, you just looked at me and would say, I love you, and then kiss me and then fall right back asleep. You must have done that another 4 or 5 times throughout that, 2-hour and 45-minute flight. So for most people, that would consider that extremely affectionate.
Right.
And you're like that all the time. We could be driving in the car. We could be laying in bed watching TV. We can just be having a conversation, and you'll just stop what you're doing mid-sentence and you'll look at me with this look in your eyes. And I feel so unbelievably loved all the time. And you'll stop and you'll just kiss me. Or, you tell me that you love me, no lie, maybe 15, 16 times a day.
Right.
I don't even know if you realize how much you say it. And every time that you say it, I feel it. So it doesn't get old. It's like every time you say it, it's like a shot of electricity.
Right.
And I was talking to somebody, this might have been 3 years ago. And I have no idea what the conversation was about. And I have no idea how we got to this part of the conversation. But I remember telling them, I actually do remember now. During our conversation, you called twice. And the first time that you called, I must have smiled or something. And I told you I was in the middle of lunch with somebody.
Okay.
And I would call you back. And then you called back in like another 20 minutes. I guess you needed an answer to something and you couldn't wait. And I must have smiled again and I hung up. And the girl that I was having lunch with said to me, "That's so funny to me." And I said, "What?" She said, "The expression on your face each time that you looked at your phone and it was Rashawn calling." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" She said, "I could see the happiness in your face every time that you looked at the phone. Both times, like you smiled." And I said, "You know something? This is an opportunity for a little bit of self-reflection." I said, "Just hold on a second. Let me just think about this for a second." And I might have taken about 20 seconds to myself. And I said, "You know what? You're right. Every time that he calls and I look at the phone, I feel like butterflies in a sense, or like a little bit of that's my baby. Like, that's my baby." And I'm anxious to pick up and I want to hear what you have to say, or even if it's you updating me on where you're going, or, what your next move is, or if you have to ask me a question or whatever it is, like I am always anxious to hear your voice.
Right.
I'm always anxious to be around you. I love being around you. I love being in your presence. Even if, there's times where you'll say, "Babe, I have to go to the bank. You want to take a ride?" And I can have on a pair of your boxer shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm quick to be like, "All right, I'll just throw on some flip-flops," because I like to just be in the car with you for those 13 minutes that it's going to take to get to the bank, or, to get to the grocery store, to get your avocados, or, whatever it is. I just love being around you. So I don't know, if I have to think about what it is or why, I think a lot of it you can chalk up to natural chemistry. Some of it, I think that you chalk up to friendship, because I really do look at you as my friggin' friend. Like, you are my friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's part of the reason why I like to be around you. But that deep affection towards you, that adoration, I think that it may be a chemistry thing. And I don't really use this word too much, but maybe a soulmate thing.
Yeah. You know what? And I agree with you. And there was something that I don't think I told you about, but I had a conversation with this lady on a plane. Did I tell you about it?
Well, I don't know.
think so.
Can you hear a little bit more?
I was going to Jamaica. I had a show in Jamaica. And
the last time you went?
Yeah, the last time I went. And this white lady sat next to me from Toronto. All right. And the reason I'm telling you she's white because it wouldn't matter. But the reason I tell you she was white, and she was younger. She was in her I would say late 30s. And she sat next to me on the plane, and people were getting on the plane, and they recognized me. So everybody was like, "What up, Envy? What up, Envy?" So it kept happening. So she was like, she was kind of intrigued, like, "Well, who are you? What do you do?" You know. So I told her I'm a DJ. Whatever. I'm actually going to Jamaica to DJ. And I was like, "What? Are you going on vacation?" And she was like, "No, I live in Jamaica." And it was just odd to me because she didn't sound Jamaican. It was like, do you live in Jamaica? She was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how? Why?"
You have a business there?
Well, what happened was she's originally from Toronto. She went out there to Jamaica, and she met an island man. She fell in love with an island man, and she just said, "I'm living here." So she works from her computer. So she just pretty much moved. They have kids, and he's kind of like pretty much the day dad. He does everything. He takes care of the kids. He cooks, and she's the one that works. So
it's kind of like how my grandparents are. I told you, my grandfather is Scottish, so he had a business in Jamaica, and my grandmother is half Chinese, half Jamaican, and she was born and raised in Jamaica, and he met her, and they got married and had my mother, and that's how she's mixed with what she's mixed with. But similar to what you're saying, and no, you didn't tell me this story. Continue. Yeah. I'm intrigued.
So she tells me. So I was just asking. I was like, so all of a sudden I thought for sure that, and this happens a lot, people meet these Jamaican dudes or these island dudes on cruise ships, and then it's like Stella got her groove back.
I knew you were going to say
Jamaican dudes, the Western dudes be knocking them off. I know, like I hear that all the time. But she really, she fell in love. But she basically told me that she pretty much Debo's the guy. Like, I'm the breadwinner, and pretty much you do what I say. You gonna take daughter to here because I told you to do it. So she's telling me this, right?
Oh,
but
really?
that's what that wasn't what intrigued me. So we're talking, and then she was like, so I was like, oh, okay. She was like, so she asked me about you. She was like, so your wife doesn't mind that you go out? I said, no, not at all. I said, most of the time she goes with me. I said, but this trip I'm only going to be in Jamaica for like 6 hours. So for her to come for this trip is more of an inconvenience. She's not going to want to do that. So she was like,
right.
She was like, yeah, because my husband, when I leave, he sometimes he beefs. And so it got to the point where I have this rule in the house. And I said, well, what rule? And she was like, if it's not going to mean we're breaking up, we're not going to argue about it. And I said, what? She says, if the argument is not going to cause us to break up, like it's not going to go that far, I don't want to fucking talk about it.
Word.
And I was like, word?
And he bought it?
And I was like, that's what I said. I said, he bought it? He was like, yeah, I pay the bills. So now, when I got back.
Wait, how did you respond when she said that?
I was like, I love it.
What?
I'm going to tell you why.
What? Try that over here.
I'm going to tell you why. But now, if we get into an argument or something that upsets me, I think of it like, if I'm not mad enough to where I want to leave, drop it. Life is too short.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
Why?
Because that's not legit.
It is legit.
No.
It is legit.
Now let me ask. Okay, let's do a little Q&A.
Okay.
Can you see? Now I'm basing this question off of conversations that we've had in the past.
Correct.
Can you see me doing anything to you or that concerns you that would cause you to want to leave me ever?
No.
It's not feasible to you, right?
No.
Okay. So let's say that you have a gripe about something regarding my personality.
Okay.
Or the way that I deal with you, the way that I talk to you, the way that I mother your children.
Right.
Or anything else. You mean to tell me that if you come to me, not in an argumentative type of way, but if you come to me and bring it to my attention and I disagree, and you also in a conversational tone come back at me, and I go back at you, and then it escalates because we're disagreeing and maybe we really dislike each other's take on the situation.
Right.
At that point, that's when a conversation turns into an argument. Do you mean to tell me that at that point, you just drop it and put all of your concerns, your thoughts, and your feelings to the side because it's not going to cause us our relationship and you're not going to break up with me as a result of it? Of course not.
Nah, well, I wouldn't say that. Now, let me explain. What she said went so far, went totally left, right? She made a left turn and she kept going too many blocks down. But what she said that made me think about it was, why beef about the small things? And I'm going to give an example, right? Sometimes when I come home, and we talked about this on an earlier podcast, right? I'm tired on the way home and you might say, babe, can you stop and get me an avocado? Or what is it called? Guacamole. Or babe, can you stop at Bed Bath & Beyond and pick up some shitsy bits, whatever it's called, whatever you want me to pick up?
You just renamed whatever insignificant thing that I'm asking you for as a shitsy bit?
Hand towels for the bathroom. You might ask me to pick up extra hangers or whatever it is, right?
Shitsy bits.
Shitsy bits.
Got it.
And sometimes I'm like, fuck no, I'm tired. I've been working. I had a show last night.
But you say yes anyway.
But I say yes anyway, right? Because I look at it like, it's not that big of a deal. If my baby wants me to stop for 5 minutes, I'll just stop. Before I might have been like, no, I don't feel like stopping. And I know it would get into an argument because you would think, nigga, I do so many things for you.
I'm thinking those terms.
All right, but you might be thinking, I'm tired. I've been dealing with these kids all damn day. When you get home, but I still say, you know what, baby, you want something to drink? And I'll go downstairs and get you something to drink. So,
and you might rationalize that it takes more time to argue, bicker, and beef than to just stop at Bed Bath & Beyond and get whatever it is that I'm asking
exactly.
for.
So my mind frame is kind of like that woman where she's like, you know what? Is it worth arguing? Is it that serious? No. So I'll stop 5 minutes and go get whatever the shitsy bitch that she wants. Same thing if you come back and you say, all right, now the other day you were like, babe, can you put the toilet seat down? Right?
Yes.
And
you said the other day, like, that's not a normal conversation.
Right. But I really think about it like, do you want me to pee on the toilet seat or put the toilet seat down? Which one is it? Because when listen to this. When I go to the bathroom, right, you want me to lift the toilet seat up, pee, and then put it back down.
When you're done, yes, like a normal human being that has common courtesy for someone that might be using the bathroom behind them.
So let me ask you a question. When you go to the bathroom, do I expect you to say, okay, you pee, and then lift the toilet seat back up when I come in there?
No, because, okay, first of all, that's ridiculous.
Why?
But let me entertain it.
Entertain it.
Because the next time that you use the bathroom, you might need to poop and you might need to sit down. Or it might not be you that's using the bathroom afterwards. It might be another female. I just shut you up.
Oh, it might be another male. It might be our son. Now he might have to go pee.
Right. So why would I assume that the next person that's entering our bathroom has a penis?
So why would I assume the next person has a vagina?
He has to have a penis and not have to poop.
How do I assume that the next person has a vagina?
Because it's our bathroom, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be me using the bathroom behind you, and it's common courtesy to put the toilet seat down. Are we really having this conversation?
I don't know why that's common courtesy.
I don't even know how we just got here.
I don't even know why.
How did we just get here?
Why is that common courtesy? Because you're a female? No. If I have to go after you, the toilet seat should be up.
But you may not have to go after me. You may not have to go after me. And the next time that you need to use the bathroom, the toilet seat may need to be down because that might be the way in which you have to handle your business.
All right, from now on, you know what? I'm closing the toilet seat.
Why don't you just get your own toilet? Now I'm at a point where I don't even want to share a toilet with you because we have too many toilet conversations.
So now listen to this.
Sidebar. You know what else I don't like since we're on the topic?
What?
Why? I don't know. But since we're over here in this corner, I don't like the fact that you completely disrobe while you're on the toilet. How many times do I go in to use the bathroom and the entire, all of the clothes that you were wearing before you went into the bathroom are on the floor in front of the toilet? I'm talking about your tank top, your t-shirt, if you had a jacket on, your pants, your underwear, your socks, and your Jordans are all in front of the bathroom. I mean, all in front of the toilet. Why?
Because I like to get comfortable when I'm doing number 2.
Rashawn, that needs to stop. I got to step over all of your stuff in order to use the bathroom, and it's ridiculous. I need you, it's ridiculous. Your entire outfit.
All right, touche. Now, when I brush my teeth, I got to step over all your shit, your Tasha cleanser, your Tasha eyebrow brush, your Tasha
doesn't
lipstick.
make an eyebrow
I gotta
brush.
all your shit that's in there with just your face regimen. I gotta step over to brush my motherfucking
First of all, you don't have
teeth.
to step over it because it's not on the floor, and it's put nicely.
And I gotta be careful.
In a glass container.
But I gotta be careful that I don't
next
knock
to the
it over.
sink.
That because I don't want.
Now you gotta step over it.
knock
Now
it
it's
over.
all over the place. No, it's nicely organized.
That stuff is there
in a compartment.
And I don't want to. I don't have to deal with going at that when I brush my teeth.
Okay, so that didn't make any sense. Don't listen. You're just You're just grasping at straws right now.
And like what the lady said, instead of arguing, it's not going to end this relationship. I'm like,
just say, baby, you're right.
Baby, sure. See how well that worked?
But getting back to what she said, arguments, although they're not enjoyable, it's sometimes the natural progression of a conversation, which means that sometimes arguments are a form of communication.
But I love...
So you have... Sometimes it gets to that point.
And that's
so
the name
you
of the
can't
podcast
say
too,
that
by
I'm
the way.
going... What? What's the name of the podcast?
The name of the podcast is going to be, if it ain't going to break us up, I ain't arguing about it.
That's not going to be the name
That's
of the podcast.
That's a dope name. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
See, I'm not arguing with you, so go ahead, baby. Sure.
So I'm just going to have my way.
Yeah, whatever you like.
Whatever you like.
like.
Yes. So sometimes, my point is sometimes that you have to argue. Sometimes it's natural, and it doesn't mean that we despise each other. It means that we both have a difference of opinion that we're passionate about. And of course, it's in the best interest of the relationship to keep everything on a conversational level where respect is being exchanged and you're taking into consideration each other's feelings, and you're respecting the things that are coming out of their mouth, even if you disagree with it. Of course. But what I'm saying is that for it to be that way 100% of the time is somewhat unrealistic. And for the percent of the time that it gets to that place that's not as pleasant, it doesn't mean that we stop talking about it because it's not breakup worthy. Because at the end of the day, you really need to communicate 100%. Like, I need to know all of your thoughts and feelings when it pertains to this relationship, and vice versa. You have to have that reciprocity.
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but not arguing is also
You just
a great
don't
thing.
like to argue.
I don't. And there's nothing wrong
You
with that.
would rather do 1,000 different things other than argue.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Well, back to the Adora conversation.
When it was nice?
It was still nice.
I'm
It's
just
nothing
kidding.
nice. But I just wanted to say that, I adore you and I love you. That's where that was coming from. That's all I wanted to say.
I love you too.
All right.
I love you too.
All right. Now, let's keep it moving. Let's get to the email of the week. We were talking for a long time.
Worry? Of course you're timing it.
Yeah, that was 37 minutes. 38 minutes, actually. All right. Now, listen to this. Her name is the girl from the Bay. All right. Hey, Gia. Hi, MV. So I've been with this guy for 6 years now. We live together and we share a 3-year-old son together. He can be real selfish and rarely ever does anything nice for me. We don't have the same interests, so we can't even watch TV together. He doesn't like my family and he doesn't even have a valid reason for disliking him. One day he says we are going to get married. The next day he says he just doesn't feel it in his heart.
Wow.
I'm confused about everything because though we don't have the ideal relationship, I do love him and he says he loves me. We're just very different people and I feel like we would never leave each other. So I want to make my family official and I want us to have all the same last name. I feel like I'm 30 and I'm only getting older and I do believe in marriage and keeping the family together, but I don't want it to cost me the chance to meet someone that could be better for me and shows me more attention and actually doesn't have any doubts about marriage. I don't have anyone in particular in mind. I'm just saying, what do I do? I'd really love your point of view. Thank you guys. P.S. I would love to see the live show, but I can't afford to fly out there. Would love if you guys ever come out this way or maybe put the live shows on a podcast where we can still be part of it. Sincerely.
Oh, look at that.
The girl from the Bay.
Let me just start by saying
I'm listening.
something about this. When I listen to that email, I get the direct feeling that that whole scenario is a settling scenario.
Okay.
I think that, and this is my opinion, I think that people love the idea of marriage.
Right.
Typically, more so women than men. Usually takes men a little bit longer to get hip to the idea of marriage and to get them to want to walk down that aisle.
Right.
But I do think that most men do come to that point at a particular time in their lives.
Right.
Usually I think it's after they have lived, after they've experienced everything that they want to experience, then they find the person that they love and that they feel that they don't want to be without. Or sometimes I think that they may get close to losing that person and they decide that that's the person that they want to be with and they're done with the foolishness and the games. So with that being said, people treat marriage in a sense like a novelty. It's such a big decision to decide that you want to spend the rest of your life with someone.
Right.
I think that when you make that decision, it must be someone that you love. Hopefully one day, if you don't already, can get to the point where you adore them, because that may not be everybody's MO. But you have to truly enjoy their company.
Right.
Enjoy being around them, spending time with them, talking to them. They have to be able to bring significant joy to your life. If they don't, I believe that you are selling yourself short and you're committing to a lifetime of mediocrity.
Right.
And that is a shame. And I'm speaking from a personal perspective because, truth be told, I enjoy every day with you. And for anyone that's experiencing anything less, it really is a shame, because marriage is a choice.
Right.
Nobody puts a gun to anyone's head and says, you must marry me. You must decide to be with me for the rest of my life. It's a choice. And if you choose to shortchange yourself, then it's really a pity. I think that people should have higher standards for themselves, and people must be patient and believe that that kind of love is coming to them.
Right.
In this situation, she talks more about all the things that they don't do together and the things that aren't quite right. And of course, no relationship is perfect, but it seems as though this email speaks more overwhelmingly about the negative. And when she says that she loves him, it's more like, I do love him though, or something to that effect. And we feel as though, something like we can never be without each other, or we're never going to leave each other, or whatever. That doesn't convince me that these two people belong together. Just because, I'm willing to make it work and he's willing to make it work. So we're just going to, do it.
Right.
Just kind of, this is where we found ourselves. And no, I freaking want somebody that's going to watch TV with me.
Right.
If you didn't watch TV with me, that would be a problem.
Right.
That would be a problem, because now I know a couple that they love each other and they have completely different tastes when it comes to the things that they watch on television.
Correct.
And I was speaking to the husband and I said to him, and because it was a thing for him, right? He's like, oh, well, she's always watching X, Y, and Z, and I want to be watching this, that, and the third. So she's always in the bedroom. I'm always in the living room. And I'm like, well, that's time that you guys can spend together. I said, why don't you, if she watches 8 shows a week, for instance, let's say 7 shows a week. I said, you can't pick 2 of them that you can stomach watching, so that at least the 2 of you are together and maybe you can have conversation about it, or even if it's not that deep, laugh or, figure out the mystery together, whatever it is. You can't sacrifice 2 hours just to be there so that the 2 of you are doing something together.
Right.
I said, that's a sacrifice that you make. And it's a sacrifice that might actually bring you some kind of joy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So they don't even like the same things on TV, and it seems as though he's finding a reason to dislike her family.
Correct.
It sounds to me as though he's just a miserable person. I couldn't marry a miserable person. So from what I understand, my opinion is that you shouldn't really be thinking about marrying somebody so that you and your child can share his last name, of course that's important.
Right.
You know, any woman, well, I don't want to speak for all women, most women, I believe, if you have a child with somebody and you do care for them, it would be, you know, one of your dreams that you can be a family and share the last name. But I got to tell you this, that sure as hell wouldn't drive me. That wouldn't drive me to be like, you know, to say before God and my loved ones, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you.
Right.
Because I might have your last name, but I might also have a whole host of other problems and you dragging me down your miserable road. Right. I don't want to be there. Not so I can have your last name. Absolutely not. So with him saying that, you know, yeah, I want to get married, or I just don't feel it in my heart. Babe, let me tell you, that whole I just don't feel it in my heart, email her. That would weigh on me like a ton of bricks. Mm-hmm. Those words are heavy. Before you give me your opinion, what do you make of those words? I just don't feel it in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that.
It says a lot.
Yeah, it does.
It says a whole lot. It says when you love somebody and you want, like, you feel that feeling organically.
Right.
You know, it's like it's a deep-seated feeling, you know? He seems like the type of person that would have to be convinced. And I'm not saying that he owes it to you to be in love with you. I'm not saying he's wrong for not loving you. Or you said that he does love you, but not having that, quote, that feeling in his heart.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He has every right to feel the way that he feels. So I'm not condemning him for not feeling. What I'm saying is that you have to recognize your truth. And as people that want to be with someone in a relationship, we tend, and I've been guilty of this, we tend to believe what we want to believe. Right. Because we love them. We're sitting here giving out benefits of the doubt, like left, right, and sideways. Mm-hmm. We make excuses. We do things because we want to see the best in someone, but the best gift that you can see, that you can give yourself, is seeing the truth for what it is in its actions and in its words, and coming to terms with those things and making sense of those things, and then making the best decision for yourself to move forward.
Right. You know, I would say this. I don't like what he said about, you know, his heart, and he doesn't know if his heart is into it. And I kind of have a problem with that, you know. Reason being is that's just telling me, then why the fuck are you here? If your heart's not in it, then why are you here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that really bothered me with him saying that.
I don't feel it in my heart.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. If you don't feel it in my heart, then why the fuck are we playing these games? Yeah. Like, oh, am I just here for a piece of ass? You just come in here to get some. You just come in here to fuck and then leave. If it's not in your heart, nah. Because I'm at that age where I just don't want to fuck. Like, I have a child now, and I need to make sure my child is raised the proper way in the proper home, and not just seeing a guy coming here fucking his mom and keeping it moving. If you don't feel that way to me, that's how I feel.
Even if he's not coming and going, even if they live together,
right? You
know, but I agree with what you said. Like, if we're not on the path of motivation, getting to the next point, or even priming ourselves and making adjustments and changing and bettering ourselves for each other so that we can get to that point, what the hell are we doing here?
Right. And
like, we're just stagnant. We're just stagnant. We're just sitting here looking at each other.
Yeah, absolutely right. And, you know, I get what you're saying. You have a child and you want to have a married family, you know, raising that child. But it gets to the point where you don't want to do anything for that child. You don't want to force yourself where you're unhappy for years and years and years for that child.
I've never believed that.
So I do feel that, you know, you need to have a conversation. I don't like that. And I would take that serious when he says my heart's not in it. Okay, if your heart's not in it, then what are we doing? And that's the conversation you need to have. Your heart's not in it, then what are we doing? Then what are we? Are we just sitting here playing? Are we playing house? And if not, then I need to, like you said, maybe move on and look for somebody that's willing to have his heart in it. If your heart's not in it, you know, because those are the type of games you don't want to play. One day, yes, I think we will get married, and the next day, no, my heart's not in it. Nah, that doesn't work for me.
There's no push and pull here.
Not at all.
Like, figure out what you want and then work towards that. But I agree with what you just said.
Right.
And I've said this before on an earlier podcast, but I don't believe at all in marrying somebody because I have a child with them, mm-hmm. or staying in a marriage because I have a child with them. children flourish when they're being raised by two happy parents.
Correct.
Especially two that love each other. Because when you're in a love relationship, it spills over into happiness in other parts of your life. You know, like when you're in love, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate, like you go to work happy, there's an extra pep in your step.
Right.
You're smiling for no reason. Sometimes you might give a homeless person a couple extra dollars more than you would have normally given him when you passed him on the street. When you're in love, it brightens up your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not feeling those feelings, you're not able to give that in and of itself, and to give that example to your children.
Absolutely.
And being married and forcing a relationship for the sake of a child is really, like, when you think about it, like the child, listen, kids see everything, but more than they see, they sense. They sense when mommy and daddy's not right. They sense when mommy and daddy are having an argument. They sense when mommy and daddy really aren't in love or enjoying each other, because we do so many things subconsciously that we don't ever take the time to sit and reflect upon. And we especially don't take the time to think about how it's affecting our kids.
Absolutely.
But being in a loving relationship is the best gift that you can give your kids. And second to that is being in no relationship, secondary to a relationship that is missing all the components that it needs to have to thrive.
Right. Absolutely.
So my point is, I wouldn't do it just because I have a child with this man.
Right. I think you need to have a conversation and break down what he says about having his heart into it, and break that down, have that conversation. And from that conversation, you should be able to decide if that's something that you want to pursue, or if it's like, you know what, I love you to death, but maybe this is not working for us.
But, you know, you really have to have a sit down. And he has to get the gist that what's about to take place is a serious conversation.
Absolutely.
That it's a make it or break it kind of conversation, because, you know, we all have conversations. I've had 1,000 conversations with Rashawn where I'm sitting there, I'm damn near threatening, and I'm saying whatever I'm feeling, and something about my delivery, he knows that, yeah, whatever, like, you just talking right now. But then there's been times where we've had conversations where he knows I'm dead ass serious, and it only took one conversation for a change to be made. Right. So my point is that you need to have a serious conversation with him, and he needs to be able to derive from you that it's a serious conversation that you're about to have that can really have a huge influence on the rest of your lives together, or not.
Absolutely.
You know, and you need to address all the things that are lacking in your relationship. And the goal, if you guys decide to stay together, needs to be that the two of you become closer and become a unit and are the guardian of each other's welfare.
Right.
Because that's something that I think that's missing in a lot of relationships. I don't think that we realize that I look at you as like your protector in a lot of ways. Like, when someone messes with you, the claws come out. Right. For me.
Same with me.
No, like, I feel when I can't even really explain it, but something happens inside of me when I feel like you're being disrespected, or you're being wronged, or you're not getting your just desserts, or whatever it is. I feel it because I kind of feel like I am invested in your welfare. Right. You know, and I think we said this the last podcast, you know, I feel like we get up every day, both of us, thinking, what can I do today to make my person's life better? Right. What can I do to make him happier today? What can I do to make her happier today? Right. What can I do to make his life easier, and vice versa? Because I think that we're responsible for each other. Absolutely. And people have to realize that you're responsible for your person.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So both of you need to be on the same accord. You need to get on the same page, and that understanding needs to be had, where you understand and he understands that you're partially responsible for each other's happiness. So you need to work towards that. If you're not getting a good reception from him, and you love him enough to try and fight. Because I'm not saying just throw the whole man away. I'm saying you have to do all of the steps if this is what you want. And then if all the steps lead to nowhere, then you have to consider, ending the relationship.
Absolutely.
So one of those steps might be therapy. He might need somebody to open his eyes.
Maybe. To
say, this is what you're doing wrong. Because he might be hard-headed, pig-headed, stubborn.
Right.
And he just may have no clue what he's doing.
Correct. Or you might have to walk. You might have to walk or threaten that you're going to walk for him to fix up.
You might have to threaten. But here's the thing about threats. Like, I personally don't threaten without the intention of following through.
Right.
Every time I've threatened you, I genuinely had the intention of following through.
Right.
So I think that you just need to really have that serious conversation.
Absolutely. And hopefully that they do work it out, because I would love to see them in the same household, get it together. But he has to treat you right. You have to feel comfortable and you have to feel good.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is it for us. It's time to get up out of here.
Okay.
Don't forget again, July 27th. I can't wait to see you guys at Sony Hall. It's a Friday. It's date night. So go get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. We're going to have the podcast. We're going to have a lot of fun on that stage. A lucky person or a lucky couple is going to do double date with us. Mm-hmm. We're going to do dinner and something else. A club, a movie, a hookah bar, something. We're going to do something.
We're not going to the movies. We're definitely not going. I'm just telling you that.
Okay, well, it's not a movie.
Put it out there. We're definitely not going to the movies.
All right, well, it's dinner and something else.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, that's July 27th, and we'll see you guys next week. I'm DJ Envy.
And I am Gia Casey.
And that's another edition of the KC Crew.
Doodles.